So this is a continuation from where I left off. I was discussing about Eleggua, the path that was chosen for me, the ceremonies that were conducted, and what I went through as a kid. Um, so I was 7 years old, uh, growing up in a city called Hialeah in Miami. Um, there was a lot of conflict between my mother and my father. Um, there was a lot of rivalry, a lot of tension between the two. So my dad, because he practiced Santeria uh, without my mom knowing, initiated me into the practice. It was kind of a gift in a way, um, because it brought me to an awareness of myself and my power as an individual. But there was a couple things that occurred in the religion and reasons why my mom and I left the religion, um, and why today I still hold to some of the old beliefs that I had as a child, because that was just and will always kind of be part of my destiny. But I wanted to kind of switch gears a little bit into what is the type of practice that we have as Romani people, people of Roma, people of the Gypsies, people. What is the type of magic that we follow? And the first thing that I would say, and where maybe there's a difference between Santeria, is that in the traditions of the Romani people, there's no sacrificing of animals. Like, let me kind of be clear about what's going on here. You can't you can't really have a santo or an orisha without going through that process of animal sacrifice. It's just the way the religion is. It's kind of hard to go through if it's not something you're ready to experience. Now, I don't recommend it for everybody. There's some people that will, and there's some people that won't. Now, because my mom had a little bit different belief than my dad, meaning that my mom is an independent spiritual believer. She's a psychic. She believes in God, but she doesn't really get too far into other things. She doesn't really have the type of superstition or types of beliefs that I have, so we're a little bit different. Um, One of the main characteristics about what the Romani people um, understand about life is that there's a creator called God, and there's a devil in hell. It's just the way it is. Like, without a doubt, we know that there exist these two polar opposite realms, and the Romani people, we stand in the middle. We're neither to the left nor to the right. We're not really, um, we're not gonna go to the darkness full-fledged and go into all these occult types of things that occur in the world. But then we're not gonna be so spiritually to the left where we're so into the church and into Catholicism and religiously obsessed about the Bible and things like that. We're in the middle. We're not really one way or the other. So to understand a little bit better of what I'm talking about and what is some of the things that we believe in versus, let's say, in the Santeria, is that we believe in our psychic power and our ability to foresee the future, to see our past, and to be aware in our present. This is not something that everyone's gifted at doing. Like, if you're not spiritually gifted, you can train yourself to become more keen to things that you see in life, but it's something that's passed down from a generation to the next. It's like things that we learn as children in the culture to train our intuition. And the reason why I kind of chose to bring in two different topics was that the same types of practices that exist in Yoruba, like particularly with Eleggua and or Arunla is the Orisha of divination, and Eleggua is the primordial spirit, the crossroads, the trickster, things like that. And how these two different beliefs are kind of overlapping. The thing is, like, because I'm more loyal to my mom and to my family's generations, like, we're forbidden to do animal sacrificing. We're not. It's like a taboo. Like, gypsies don't touch blood at all. It's like probably the worst thing you could want to do in your lifetime. It's considered diabolic. It's considered evil. It's a type of spirit or type of spiritual thing that is not recommended. What we use instead is water. We use water in our practice because that is for us the liquid of life. It's universal. It's stronger than blood. It's not something that will ever go away. It's something that always continues and flows throughout the planet and through the universe. Now, to try to focus a little bit better on what I'm trying to describe is that you don't need too much to be spiritually aligned with what you're supposed to do. Like, you have to concentrate spiritually on what it is that you want in your life. It has a lot more to do with prayer and meditation than it does anything else, because you can have an elaborate altar, you can have guidance from a madrina or padrino or babalao or different individuals that can lead you to the direction you want to take. But unless you know your power, unless you know how to work it, and when I say work it, I mean to make ritual work for you in a way that you are the one steering the wheel behind the vehicle. You have to be able to do it yourself. You know, you can't rely on somebody else to do the work for you. And that type of work is something that you train as you get older, become more and more knowledgeable of what works and what doesn't work for you. Let me give you some examples of what I'm talking about. The first thing that most people will learn about is the candle. The candle, particularly like the Catholic candles, the ones that are in glass, they have different saints on them, the depictions of, like the Virgin Mary, Guadalupe, Lázaro, San Benito, San Francis of Assisi, San Francisco. The list goes on and on. There's hundreds of different candles with different santos that mean different things. The first thing to understand is a candle. Okay, so you have a candle, you light the candle, and you make a petition to the Santo or to the Orisha that you want to call upon. Now, what's important to understand is that you don't need to do too much to the candle. Like, I've been seeing some things happening lately, and it's nothing really new, but you make sure, like, when you have a candle, it's about yourself and about your spiritual growth, about connecting to your ancestral lineage. The focus should be about you, your family, the past, and the future. It should be about your spiritual development as an individual. I see a lot of people out there on YouTube, and when I've gone to different botanicas, that want to cause harm to people, okay? They want to ruin you, and they don't like their neighbor, they don't like their spouse, they don't like that lady across the street or that guy across the street, and they dig a hole into the candle, they write your name down, they scribble you out, they stuff you in the candle, they sprinkle some powders on it and put some oil into it, and they want to wish you hell. That's not really what you should be doing. It's karma. Like, you can't be spiritually awakened when you're focusing on other people. Like, this is about your self-development. It shouldn't be about anything else. Don't worry about people that wish you harm, or try not to be too superstitious about what's going on around you. Just try to be focused on your ancestor, the santos that walk with you, and it's about your relationship to God, to the Almighty, to the Creator, to the Spirit, whatever you want to call the existence of life. It's about your experience with your ancestor. Now, where I want people to understand is that you have to have an altar for the candle. That's a little bit more of a complex discussion. Okay. Now, you have something that you'll see throughout Latin America, and it's basically an arrangement of objects with a candle, with incense. There's all sorts of different versions of what these type of altars look like. I call them folk altars, F-O-L-K altars, folk altars. Now, it's derived from Catholicism. It's derived from Native American shamanism. It's derived from Afro-Caribbean or African heritage. And it's kind of like a blend of all of that. It's not really one thing or the other. It's kind of a mixture of different things, okay? Now, the main thing that I want people to understand is, like, try to focus on the santos or the objects that you already have. There's objects in your home that are personal to you, and those are things that you want to put on your altar. You don't want to put on your altar depictions of skulls, skeletons, the pentagram, dark magic. Those types of things are a completely different ballgame. It's something that you don't want to do. I don't recommend it. It's something that once you're invoking that type of spiritual energy, you can't get out of it. It's going to take you a long, long, long time to come out of that type of energy. You want to focus on the santos that are benevolent. What are benevolent santos? Santos that are Catholic, typically in this type of practice, we call upon the Catholic saints, but it's not always just the Catholic saints that we have. You could also have the depictions of the African deities, like, let's say, for example, there's Papa Francesco, Mama Francesca. Those are the elderly African Congo spirits. They're a grandfather and a grandmother. I like them a lot. The other is like La Madama. She's the African deity of domestic, of she's kind of like a servant to the household. She's in a stereotype way. She looks like Aunt Jemima. She has a basket on her head. She's a caring, nurturing type spirit. You also have like carved wood, fertility gods, different things like that. Then you also have like the Native American type spirit guides. They are the ones that are usually like Geronimo, or like a Native American woman, investments and different things like that. So to give you an idea, I'm a little bit more eclectic. On my altar, I have the Chinese deities. I have a strong connection to a distant ancestor that I identified later on in my life, that I may have had Chinese ancestry. So I like the emperor, I like the Buddha, the family Buddha, Kuan Lin. So my altar is a mixture of different deity or saints that I feel that are for my protection. Now, the main reason why people have folk altars is for protection. Why do we have the folk altar for protection? First of all, oftentimes we keep it in our bedroom. We usually want to have a close connection to that spirit. I recommend that because when you sleep, when you go to bed at night, and you go into the astral plane and you dream, you want to have your santos close to you to protect over your spirit as you sleep. The time when you're most vulnerable is when you're sleeping, because you go into an unconscious state, your spirit is traveling to a different world, it's living a lifetime of its own. You have to remember that we live in two different realms, the conscious realm and the unconscious realm. And where we're vulnerable is when we're sleeping. The reason why we're a little bit vulnerable is because in the darkness, in that state of dormancy, then exist other kind of spiritual dimensions that intersect with our spirit. And so the altar is there to help you, kind of protect you, to kind of be your first line of defense in making sure that you have a good rest and things like that. And so I recommend to people that if you have your ancestral altar, is to have it in your bedroom, close to you. And that's something that your spirit and your ancestors want. They want to have a close relationship to you. How it ties back into where I'm talking about Eleggua was that because I was chosen in the path of Eleggua, I'm constantly seeing different vortexes of energy, both good and bad, on a day-to-day basis. Something that I don't like sometimes. I don't particularly like things that are bad. I'm very careful about bad people in my environment, people that I perceive to be negative energy. I tend to be kind of like a sponge to those types of things. So I'm always guarded against that. But because I'm with Eleggua and I'm always at the crossroads in my life, I'm constantly going to intersect and cross paths with both good and bad energy. Now, I recommend people that are trying to learn about Yoruba and Latin American culture, of Espiritismo, African, Caribbean religions, to learn a little bit about Eleggua. Try not to jump into other categories. Like, there's people that want to learn about Oshun, they want to learn about Yemaya, Shango, Achosi, Ogun, all these other different orishas. But I really believe, like, until you have kind of a stronger understanding of Eleggua, you're really going to never understand what this is. Eleggua is something that has to do with your destiny and when you're crossing paths. He's the crossroads. It's like when you make a decision, should I go left or should I go right? Do I go forward? Do I go back? It's directional. It's north, east, south, and west. It's something that is an awareness of space and time. So that's why, they've chosen Eleggua to be kind of the premier of where everything goes, So try to learn more about Eleggua. Eleggua is spelled Eleggua, Eleggua, also known as Eshu, Eshu. Now, there's multiple types of Eleggua. There's not just one Eleggua. Eleggua is typically placed by the doorway inside the home. Some people have Eleggua outside. Not as common in this day and age. I think most people want to protect Eleggua. Eleggua is inside your home by the door. And so then people will make certain types of offerings to Eleggua. So some of the offerings that they make to Eleggua is like candy, money, things that pertain to childhood, toys. There's certain ways to honor Eleggua. He likes like aguardiente, rum, cigars, cigarettes. He's placed in what they call, I think it's called a botera. I forget the exact name in Spanish. It's like a clay pot. It's the basin to the pot, not the actual pot, but the part that collects the water. It's clay. It's circular. And then on top of the plate, you have Eleggua. He's a stone. He's consecrated by the priest. There's a secret ceremony that goes into Eleggua. Ingredients like pescado ahumado, dried fish, toasted corn, different types of things. I'll get into more detail later about some of those processes, but for now I just wanted to start with that, and I'll continue the next video.